talking about getting unstuck tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
How to get unstuck.
And I've managed to get unstuck out into Facebook this week. I didn't last week. They won't let me in.
Well, there you go.
So welcome to Patricia and to Vibe. And I've got the beautiful Hilary and the beautiful Anita. We better put our names there as well. Hill's like
Anita's son. That's true.
Everybody knows who we are. And my name is Rosa. So tonight we're going to discuss getting unstuck. So do you want to start us off, Anita?
Oh, being stuck it's quite an interesting thought, isn't it, in manifesting? Are we ever really stuck? Or are we holding ourselves back? Are we not approaching things in the right way? I mean, I know that I can find myself thinking, you know, I'm incredibly stuck on this and it's all, nothing's working out as it should and yada, yada, yada. I came back from London yesterday, some meetings in Westminster yesterday, and I was absolutely exhausted. And I was sitting on the train thinking, oh, it's all hopeless, it's all useless, it isn't, you know, nothing's working out, blah, blah, blah. And then that sort of voice in my head was like, you're standing in your own way. Mm-hmm. You're not stuck. You've got barriers that you've put up, and you either take them away or you revise what it is you think you want. And think about it and come at it from a different perspective. And it was that this morning, that little voice in my head again saying, are you sure you're not trying to manifest from your egoic mind? What is your heart saying? And I don't think actually the end result is any different, but the language that my heart uses really different to the language that my head is using. Yeah. And I think if I follow the heart language, there'll be a different outcome.
Yeah,
I know there will.
Yeah, well, and it will probably be, it'll be just easier, won't it, and quicker, because don't you find that, like, when you're getting in your own way, which I often do, it just, things go wrong, and then it's like, oh, and then you are in your ego, and you're like, why is everything going wrong for me? And yeah, it's really frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, I think because I'd had to spend the whole day yesterday in my egoic mind to do the meetings, because I was in meetings with politicians, so I was surrounded by ego and not much else. So I was so in my egoic mind that, and I try very hard not to spend as much time in that anymore, that I think I came so much out of flow, you know, that I just it's really interesting, because I've been really thinking all week about, you know, when we said about talking about getting unstuck. And I thought, what is that? And I think it's actually being in your own way.
You, Patricia or Vibe, do you want to say anything? Oh, we can't hear you, Vibe. You're not muted, but we can't hear
you. Strange.
Sometimes you have to come out and go back in again if that happens. The computer's just playing a game or whatever.
Okay.
You can always put something in the chat if you want to comment.
Yeah. So, Patricia, you've unmuted yourself.
Yes, I have. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, first, thank you for putting this on. I'm so grateful to be here. I love all your accents. I'm in Canada. So your accents sound amazing.
Thank you. So does yours.
Oh, thank you. And that it makes perfect sense when you said getting in our own way and we have barriers up. that is so true, because I know there's so many times I'm just kind of get stuck, and it's like, okay, I'm not sure what to do next, or what's my next steps. So that made a lot of sense, especially
What
right
do
now.
you do?
Sorry.
What do you do when that happens?
Well, I just kind of just center myself and just meditate, and just calm myself and meditate and see what comes to me, see what the universe says to me, and go from there.
Fabulous.
So
So
Yeah,
did
that's
you want
a
to
really
add
good
any?
way to do it, isn't it? Sorry, I was just saying that's just a really good way to like center yourself, like you said, and you get to see a different perspective, don't you? And it's but
yes,
often
yeah.
I don't know about you. Sorry, go on.
Sorry. Just instead of from ego, because we've been so conditioned by society and by family, and I mean, love them all, but it's like, okay, when I came across Abraham Hicks and her teachings, it made more sense to me than anything else ever did. I'm like, oh, raised Catholic, and I was like, okay, that was crap.
Yeah.
For me anyway. And so yeah, Abraham Hicks, when I found her about 8 years ago, her teachings, I was like, oh my gosh, does everybody know about this? Like, everybody needs to know about this.
Yeah.
So
You won't.
I can relate where you're coming from with that, Tricia, because I was brought up a Catholic, and it was only when my first marriage was falling apart did I start to look at, and I still am a Catholic, and I still believe in God, because on my posts on the Ignite post, when we do the prosperity game, I always put thank you universe stroke God, because I still do believe. But I think it's all the man-made rules that are the problem. And I
yes.
think it was Wayne Dyer that was the actual eye opener for me about not about my beliefs, but about how they have been misinterpreted. And it's very strange now, because I actually feel closer to God than I've ever felt, yet I don't go to church.
Isn't that amazing? I mean,
yeah. And I went to church through COVID, and the priest was there, doing all stay apart and get the hand sanitizer, and I felt like standing up and saying, Father, stop putting fear into them, because the minute you let fear in, you've lost them.
yes.
God's lost them.
But they're controlled by fear.
They're controlled by fear, yeah. But I mean, I didn't, but I was so like, stay in this pew and do not move, woman. I really had to talk to myself, because it was the first time I'd actually looked at it differently, so yeah, it was interesting. Vibe, nice to have you back. Do you want to join in? And let's hope we can hear.
Can you hear me now?
Right.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, as to being stuck, I don't believe that we are ever stuck. I heard Abraham say that we are not stuck. Everything is always moving. So we are not stuck. But I do believe that we switch. We have our ego, and we will always have our ego. So we switch between the ego and the heart and the brain. Yes. Yes. But
I mean, the egoic mind is necessary.
pardon?
The egoic mind is necessary for our survival.
Yes, I guess that's what makes our contrast, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which we need. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sue, go on, sorry.
I think Sue unmuted herself a little while ago. So I just want...
hi. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this group. I just wanted to say I'm in the US, so this is like right in the middle of my work day. I work from home, so I'm trying to take a late lunch and like have this, but yeah, I'm like, I unfortunately can't be like fully engaged, but
Sure.
I'll try to jump in when I can.
Yeah, that's great, Sue.
But I'm feeling very stuck. So any advice you could offer would be fabulous at this point.
I think it is, as Patricia said, it's that centering yourself, taking a breath and just thinking, okay, right, let me step back. And I meditate. I do a lot of free writing. So for me, it's about writing about how I feel. If I'm feeling stuck, what is not gelling for me? How am I out of alignment? And if you keep going, then your inner being voice takes over, and that's what starts writing. And that's you talk yourself to the answer. I mean, I know for Hilary, it's cycling is part of her meditative process. For Rosa, it's dancing. You can, we can get into a meditative state in all sorts of different ways, and it's whatever feels most comfortable. I mean, I do meditate, but for me, which won't be a surprise for Hilary and Rosa, my most comfortable way is writing. And I just write it out. And, I mean, I even write things like, oh, for God's sake, you stupid woman, come on. It's like my inner being is saying to me, come on, I'm going to slap you around the face because I'm going to fill up you now, to keep on and on and on. But it is that sense of just getting, I sometimes feel it's here. My inner being is here. And I just got to let her go. And she will come around and say, right, you put barriers up around this, and you need to let the barriers go. And if you keep probing the sort of, okay, I get that, that's fine, I understand what you're saying, what can I do? And just keep probing and probing and probing. And you will eventually, it doesn't happen overnight, but you will get there. And Patricia, you say that walking helps you to center, going for a walk.
Yes, when I go for I like to go for a walk in the afternoon, just so I can get outside and get a little bit of exercise. And so when I go for my walk, then that's when I find a lot of different thoughts and feelings, positive thoughts and feelings come to me. And it's like, I should have brought something to write it down with. By the time I get home, chances are I've forgotten about it all. But during my walk, it feels really good. So even if I can just allow myself to get back to that feeling, then things kind of start happening. If that makes sense.
I think as Rosa was talking about going to church earlier, I was actually christened in a spiritualist church. And so I was brought up with a sense of spiritualism rather than religion. And I've always, I think, as a result, very much had the belief that if you're looking to engage with God or the universe or source or whatever, there's nowhere better than out in nature, because it's been created by that. So, Rosie, I just saw this hand and this mug. It's like sauce has just gone, there you go, Rosie, there's a cup of tea.
We actually just made a move, my husband and I, we just made a big move from one area of the province here in Canada to the ocean, Vancouver Island. We now live near Victoria, British Columbia. I'm about 5 minutes away from the ocean, and I have spent so much time by the ocean now. It's my, I don't know what's calling me there, but I keep getting called to the ocean. So that's where I find my energy, my center, I can just let everything go into the ocean. I don't even know how to describe it or how to explain it. But when I go there, I just like, yes, this is where I need to be.
Fantastic.
Hello.
Welcome, Lisa.
Hello. Yeah, welcome,
well.
Lisa. Yeah. Sue, do you want to say anything? Oh, are you happy? She's happy on.
Is that helpful?
Oh, yeah. Was that helpful, Sue?
Oh yes, absolutely. That is great. Yeah, I live close to the ocean too, and I did realize that really does help a lot. And I just like get trapped into working from home, so there are like days I like never make it out there, which is really a bad habit that I have to break. Like I know I need to like learn to take breaks more often.
You can end up in
Yeah.
overwhelm if you don't take that time.
Very true.
Vibe, is
Yeah,
there anything you
sometimes you
do?
have to force yourself, don't you? Sometimes you just have to kind of, you can't be bothered, but you just have to, and actually feel so much better afterwards for just getting outside, don't you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like I went for a hike over the weekend and I just always feel so great after stuff like that. So I just have to get into the habit of doing it more often.
Get a big stupid dog like me, then you have to take it out for a walk.
I have a cat. He's and instantly gets me into the like aligned with source because he's like so much fun.
No, the animals are really good for that. Vibe, is there anything?
Yes, yes. I want to ask you, do you write? Anita suggested,
Do I write?
does Sue write?
Oh, I actually write for a living. I try. I need to be better though about my journaling and stuff.
Okay,
So
but you can't use need to be better.
yeah.
That doesn't work. I recently started writing myself. I hadn't been able to for some time. I love writing, but I had been able to write for myself for some time. But I recently started, and now it just flows for me. So maybe if you could start writing on the top of a page, I'm feeling unstuck, but Abraham tells me that I'm never stuck, and see what comes next for you.
I love that. That's a great idea. I'm definitely going to do that tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Lisa, is there any thoughts you have about this?
Not at the moment. I'm just listening. And sorry, I joined you a bit late. So I'll listen in.
Not at all. Never any need to apologise. We're just pleased to see you. I'm pleased to hear from you. So yeah, I think the whole premise about being stuck, although we feel it, as you say, Vibe, you know, there isn't really, you're never ever stuck because things are always moving in a direction. It just might not, it might be the direction of your fear, unfortunately, because that's what you're manifesting, because you've not quite managed to stay in alignment with what you do want, and you focused on what you most dread happening, maybe, or worry is going to happen. Because I know I'm absolutely fantastic at catastrophizing things when I'm feeling overwhelmed by certain aspects of life. You know, if I'm not well, or if, you know, family life is just getting a bit much, or whatever. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can catastrophize beautifully. And I, you know, beautifully can manifest the thing I catastrophize if I go too far down the road. So, you know, is that we are all fabulous manifestors. And that's the comfort in a way, because if you can manifest the bad, you can manifest the good as well.
I know I've heard Abraham say a lot that we feel that we're in having the same experience over and over again, but it's only because we're thinking the same thoughts, and so it's just different people and different things, but it's the same. Like, you know, some people attract poor relationships continually, some it's a poor job, or, you know, or it's, you know, you often hear, don't you, that like some people everything bad happens to them, and it's all being attracted, isn't it? So yeah.
My mother-in-law is perfect at that. You know, she's very good at saying everything bad happens, and she's very good at I call it crawling into the pit of despair and just staying there, because actually that's her comfort zone. And she says, oh, you know, that won't happen for me. And, you know, as my mother would say, as sure as God made little green apples, that will happen.
Can I just interrupt, because we've got a message on Facebook. Somebody's Leslie is watching us on Facebook, and she asked, what should she use as a writing prompt? The echo was bad.
Oh, the Vibe said it was.
There is an echo on
Abe, yeah,
as well.
If Abe says we're never stuck, what am I feeling? Sort of
I'm wondering if, to be honest, because I get an echo off Vibe, and I'm wondering whether it was what Vibe said, because I didn't.
Well, that's, yeah.
What was the advice you gave, Vibe?
Typing.
Oh, I've done it again. I keep pressing the wrong button.
Okay, what I said about, Abraham tells us that we're never stuck. Everything is always moving. I just read in the news that a telescope has found 6 new galaxies. We keep expanding and we keep finding new things in this amazing universe. Everything is always expanding. And if I suggested that Sue write that on top of the page and see what comes next to her, that because we are never stuck.
It is that, I mean, your emotions are triggered by a thought.
Mm.
So it's trying to identify what is the thought that's triggered that sense that you have that we may term being stuck. But it is just a sense of maybe things aren't moving in the direction you want them to be going in. So it is trying to identify if your emotion is you're feeling a bit down, a little bit melancholy, what has prompted that? Because there's a thought process that's prompted that. It's a subconscious thought process that's prompted that emotion, which can then lead you down the road to thinking, it's things, for whatever reason, things aren't working out for me. But it's trying to get under the skin of it a bit, because to an extent, if you don't, you're just going to keep repeating it. If you're not understanding what your trigger is, you're just going to keep on repeating it. Yeah. So it's finding that trigger, and then, you know, it is that understanding that, as Vibe said, as I said at the beginning, there is no stuck. You're just not vibrating at the right frequency.
Yeah, and it's funny this, because I was talking to my son yesterday, and my son and I work together, and I said to him, I keep coming up against the same thing happening all the time. I get so far, and then there's a barrier, and he goes, the thing is, Mum, you are getting like. And he said, how do you feel? I said, I feel anxious. The minute somebody asks me something, I go into panic mode. And he said, the thing is, you are thinking of the outcome instead of just saying, this is what I have to do in this moment, and concentrating on that. And it's a bit like being in the now, isn't it? Being in the now, being present. And he said that way you won't get het up, because, and I am getting, you know, like, and Vibe's right. We need to talk more about getting unstuck, and that was, and in a way, it was such a release when he said that, because I felt that he'd lifted the problem. He'd made me see where I was going, not so much wrong, but what I was doing negatively. And I think this is why when we have talks like this, you can't see it yourself, but somebody else can pick up on it. And it's like the what you said, Vibe, you know, about the universe, we are never stuck. And it's, yeah, you don't, it's like a bit of a light coming on, isn't it? The live thing's going mad here. I think.
I mean, the other thing that we can do is maybe not even realizing it, but focusing on the how too much.
Yeah.
And thinking about, you know, it may even be at a subconscious level, you expected something to happen in a certain way. You expected your manifestation to happen in a certain way. And the reality is you could have manifested, but you've missed it.
Yeah.
Because you were subconsciously focused in a certain direction.
And that's what I said to Martin. I said, the minute somebody contacts me, I get this ready, that ready, and I go down the list of what, and he said, why? As the universe said, do this, do that, do the other. Why are you putting that pressure on yourself to get everything? He said, when the time's right, Mum. But you see, I think some of it is like, I'm still like, you know, I'm computers and everything, still get it wrong. So I think I'll get everything organized. And then when they ask the question, I'll know it. But they never ask the question. So then I'm like, oh, do you know what I mean? And it's deflating, isn't it? But he's right. When they ask the question, Mum, the answer will be that you will have the answer. Or say to them, I don't know. I'll go and look it up for you and get back to you. When you think, yeah, it's and again, it's having that release, isn't it? Of
having trust.
Just good. You took the words right out my mouth there, Anita. Having trust. Yeah.
It's that saying, isn't it? Jump and the net will catch you. It is having the trust that there is something there that is actually going to deliver for you.
It's like my son was an inline skater, and they used to jump against pieces of wood, and they only had a gap of about 2 inches between because they were blades, not quads. So they had two wheels, a gap, 2 wheels, and he had to get this gap on this piece of wood, right? But old Smarty used to do it backwards. So he would land it backwards. The first time I saw it, I nearly died. And they call it a leap to faith. Because and if he misses, it's like the size of a 2-story house. If he misses it, the fall over the other side. But his confidence in himself and the fact that he knew he would land it, he landed it. But I read somewhere, it's not a leap to faith, it's a leap with faith. And how does that turn it to a completely different way of life?
Absolutely.
I mean, it was amazing that.
No, that's I love that, a leap with faith.
Yeah.
Because it is
beautiful.
It doesn't have to be about believing in God.
Rosa and I are going to have to go in
got to go
in a sec because we have another call. So it's a bit crazy. But we'll be back next week. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week, and our topic is, I can't remember, Anita.
Hang on.
Down somewhere.
The topic is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs.
So same time, same place next week. Lovely to meet you all.
Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you all so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye. Great to meet you. Bye.
Bye.